Hi, everyone. Welcome to Migrant Voices. My name is Dorothy, and today we are joined by Eugene, who is a scientist, a father, a husband, and someone whose life has been shaped by migration from a very, very young age. And, being born in Ghana and raised in Denmark, his story kind of weaves together questions of identity and belonging. And so that's what we'll be talking about today, how he has navigated identity and belonging issues, especially within the education system in Denmark. And so stay with us as we have this conversation with Eugene.
Migrant Voices, where every journey tells a story.
So welcome to Migrant Voices again. And we are really, really excited to have you here. And we just want to dive into the discussion. Being born in Ghana and then coming to Denmark. Can you recall when you moved to Denmark, your first memories about it? How was it like when you moved to Denmark?
Yeah, it's actually very something that I haven't thought about in a very long time. So I moved to Denmark when I was 15 years old. And that is, quite a while ago. Yeah. And what I remember here was being part of an international society because, sometimes when you live in Denmark, you always think about, you need to learn the Danish language and everything. But I came at a time where though I wasn't old, I was in my teens and very excited, to try new things and all that. So I was really more interested in, being among internationals. At the same time, I did have the Danish perspective or the Danish understanding of, being a foreigner and also living in Denmark.
Yeah, so by international, do you mean the Ghanaian community or generally people from different backgrounds?
It's mainly people from different backgrounds because when I came, when you come to Denmark, they take you to a language school. So back then you go to this it's called Ungdom School, where you learn the language for some few years and then you get to take 10th grade exam and then you decide what.
So that was a path you took. So you went to Ungdom School and then?
Yeah, and then I took the 10th grade before I could go to high school, the gymnasium. So back then with this Ungdom School, it is a setup where you have even the adults and the youth learning the Danish language in one place. And this is, I would say, of course, I came here with my brother and he had a different experience because he was younger than me. He was 11 back then and he was enrolled directly into a Danish school. So he had a completely different setting compared to mine.
So the age determined where you went to?
Yeah,
no,
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you are older, you'll be enrolled in a respective institution.
And how was it like trying to be very new in the system, and how was it like? How did you feel? How did that make you feel? I mean, you said you were excited.
Yeah, that's the thing because I've always not really had I've not really thought about it so deeply until today. I was just more being me and having fun and being a young
boy,
just
the novelty of it.
Yeah, it was fun, because it was fun at the same time different because I was in a different environment.
Of course.
And everything is just, you're excited to meet new friends. You're excited to get to know more about Denmark and where you currently reside in. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you talked about being different, but were there moments where you really, really felt different? Like, because of course, because you look different, your name, your culture, your accent, because I believe you didn't have the accent you have now when you moved here.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. But I think I had a completely different experience, for example, compared to, let's say, someone who was born here to a first generation family, right? And when I came, I was more, I would say, I got engaged into the international society. So I felt welcomed and being part of a broader, society. So although I was in Denmark, I was also engaged in, having this international. I had this international mindset of being with people, though they were in Ghanaians, but they also shared the same aspiration and the same. I would say they were in the same situation as I am. That they moved from their country to Denmark, and they're learning a new language, engaging into the same in a different setting and a different culture. So I felt as being part of a community, even though, like you say, I may have had a different accent or I felt like I had my skin color, but I also saw people from Nigeria, the Gambia, Guinea, and so forth. So I really didn't think much about
it.
Being different because I felt I was represented in this environment that I was studying.
So it helps when you are within that international community.
Yeah.
So from then, if you let's go into your education. So from there, what did you do next?
So I already knew that I wanted to continue this international path. So after taking my 10th grade examination, this is what you take before you go to high school, the gymnasium. So I applied to a gymnasium, which was for the international baccalaureate program. And so I did this 2-year program. It's an internationally recognized gymnasium. So I enrolled into this, and there again, there were people from all over the world. Even though you were in Denmark, you do find Danes also be taking the international baccalaureate. Yeah, so most of them are probably they've lived abroad and they've returned back home. So I continued this international baccalaureate, and for about 2 years. At NOKI, you have to take the first year like an introduction, an introductory period, and then you have the 2 years.
So 3 years in all.
Yeah, so 3 years in all. Yeah, in that program.
If I should ask, why didn't you want to go to the Danish route? Was it because of the language?
Probably, it could have been because of the language, but also I think I had the aspiration to also study abroad. Even though I was here, my family, my parents, my parents are here. My little brother is also here. But back then, I wanted to also study abroad. Wanted to go to the UK to study medicine. Yeah, so I thought it will give me the opportunity. Studying international baccalaureate was highly recognized across the globe. So I'll just take this path.
So you already had a plan. You wanted to study.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I always.
But so how was it navigating Danish in the school? Because I mean, as far as I know, you have to also take Danish as a language. So how was it navigating Danish and English at the school?
To be honest, I was actually very lucky to learn Danish very fast. Partly because we were living with my stepbrothers. So my stepbrothers were born here, 3 of them. And so they didn't speak any other language but Danish. So we spoke Danish at home. And that really reinforced, the idea of always speaking Danish all the time. And it really helped me with my language skills. So at home, we're speaking Danish. We're, of course, also speaking fancy with my parents.
Yeah. I asked this question because, for somebody who I want to go to the UK to study, you would think that, okay, no, I don't really need a Danish because at the end of the day, I want to go to the UK. Yeah. So it's very interesting that you still stuck to learning Danish as well.
Yeah, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. I also knew
exactly.
What if, my plans didn't go as planned? I would always have Denmark, as a backup. And that also comes with the fact that even when you study international baccalaureate, you can also apply to the Danish university. So that didn't necessarily mean of course, I wanted to go to the UK. I also had the backup, the thought that I could also study here if things didn't go as planned.
Yeah. So for any parent who is probably watching, it will be good to encourage their child to have both options, because I hear some parents also say, I think the international school route is good, or the Danish route. You have had somehow had both feel.
Yeah.
And what if I'm to ask for an advice? What would be your advice regarding these two routes?
So when I went to this particular international school, it was mixed with a Danish culture. So even though I was in an international school, I was also part of a Danish school. So the Danish was not taken out of the curriculum. We're also immersed into the Danish environment. But what I would advise parents who really want to send their kids to international schools to also read a bit more about it, because back at the time, and I'm definitely sure it is still eminent, is the fact that the Danish government doesn't it does recognize international school, but the grading system is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it a little bit challenging for international schools to apply for higher education in Denmark, in the sense that the grades are completely not rated equally. Yeah. So international schools students really have to study a lot. And also, given the fact that you go to international bachelor, which is very difficult, it's one of the very challenging curriculum. So you really need to put in extra hours to get higher grades compared to a Danish
to the Danish system. Yeah. Okay. So now let's come back to school, and then we'll go into the issues of belonging identity. So you went to the Noir Gymnasium, and then what happened after that?
Yeah, so I was at Norge for 3 years, and I graduated, and the Danish graduation, I had like cards, and just partying and having fun in the bus. It was a very exciting moment. So that's what I said. The Danish culture is also part of the international school, so you get to experience the Danish culture as being part of Norge. So after Norge, I applied to the schools in the UK, and I got accepted to universities in the UK. University
you didn't apply to Denmark at all?
I also did apply. I applied to Danish schools. But unfortunately, due to financial circumstances, I really decided not to go to the UK, and did accept the degree in Denmark. So I studied at Roskilde University.
Okay.
For about a year and a half, and I did the remaining of my bachelor's in Scotland at the University of Dundee.
So you started in
yes, I started in Roskilde, and then I could take this extended exchange program at Dundee to continue my studies.
And then, so from there, you did the master's also in Scotland?
No, so I came back. I came back. At that time, I felt like Denmark is my home. So I always, I've been schooling abroad and all the time. So I always come back to Denmark, regardless of, where I am.
Yeah. And in school, did you feel like you needed to work twice as, you talked about the fact that there were internationals and all that, but did you feel you needed to work twice as hard as people are working because of where you came from, or because of your own experiences as a migrant? Did it have any role to play?
I think this is quite intriguing, because I believe most Ghanaians are very hardworking. We are very instilled early on in to study harder.
Your teacher is going to cane
you. You really have to study, and you stay up all night studying. This is it's completely different here in Denmark when it comes to studying hard to pass. You really need to pass your exams, because it is how it is. So most Ghanaians do study hard for their examination. That mindset of studying had always, been part of me.
And you built it in Ghana before you moved here?
Yeah, so I already knew, and that was just part of me. I was just studying because I needed to pass this exam, and I had to do it no matter what. I think it all started when I started my bachelor's degree, that I realized I did need to work twice as hard, because at Roskilde, you do You got to have group work and oral examinations. They are emphasized in the curriculum. So that is when you really have to show that you need to work hard because you are among your colleagues who may look different from you, and you need to prove yourself, that you're worthy of. Right.
Yeah. Because I asked this question because I've spoken to a few people who are saying, oh, because I'm African or because I'm Ghanaian, I need to prove that I am kind of worth being accepted into the school.
Yeah.
Did you have also that feeling, or for you, because you had different exposure, different experience?
I think it was because I had a different exposure earlier on, and I didn't really feel like I need to prove my worthiness, as being in this, going to this university. It was more about engagement, being part of the group work, that you need to really put in a lot of work, into it to be recognized for your.
And so now let's go into it, because I know you are a PhD student as well. So why did you decide that? I mean, you could have worked. Because I know you've worked in a very big pharmaceutical company. So why did you decide to take that academic route? For me, I decided I wanted to do a PhD because I want to, make something good out of my life. I want to inspire other young girls that it's possible. But for you, having had this big job and all that, why did you decide that I want to go into PhD?
It's this is a dilemma because my partner always asks me this question, but I would say my choice of going to higher education really stems from the fact that I've been a witness to human suffering in Ghana. Back then when I was growing up in Ghana, you kind of see like diseases and ailments that could have been treated in the Western world being undiagnosed in Ghana, partly due to the lack of resources and facilities. And this was actually really impressed on me at the age of 7 when my dad died. So back then it was this devastating experience, that these memories that kept me going, that I really wanted to just continue working hard and also take higher education, just to, at some point reduce human suffering wherever I find it. Doesn't necessarily have to be Denmark, but wherever it is, So I've always had this impetus to always just strive for higher grounds. And that was pretty much what keeps me moving forward.
Yeah, and of course, you talked about the fact that you witnessed some things in Ghana before, but growing up within the setting, did it have any influence on your decision to still pursue higher education? I'm going to ask you later about mentorship and misconceptions, but did you're growing up within this?
So you mean like growing up in Denmark?
Yeah, did it have any influence? Yeah, because I mean, you might have met Ghanaians or Africans who, or not necessarily Africans, who say, "Oh, you're here to work. You're here to make money." And so, was there any? I'm just trying to find a better word. But was there any moment that you felt that maybe I need to do this because I'm a migrant, I'm an African, or whatever it is? Did it have any? I mean, you don't have, it doesn't have to have any correlation, but I'm just curious.
Obviously, I have friends who they have to work to support the family. It's not that they chose this path just out of spite, but I think sometimes necessities calls for, I would say, drastic measures. And for me, I think it's a very personal thing that you also need to resist the pressure and the peer pressure, when it comes to, for example, you just need to work to earn money. I mean, we live in Denmark and you can always get the financial support that you need. It's not as compared to Ghana, for example. And I always had this personal, like I said before, I had this personal personal motivation to always keep, striving for better opportunities.
So for you, it was
It was just
mainly
there. I
personal.
mean, I always know. It's like I have a plan, and I always know that I wanted to go there, and I'm not really moved by anything else. I always just focus on what I want. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I like the fact that you have a
Yeah,
goal and
I think
you want to.
it's just my God. I've never thought about just working to get money, and because this is my motivation. I know that I have had, as I said earlier, I have had this experience, just so I know how it is, being in a situation where you have no access to, for example, healthcare. And so money is not really going to be an issue, especially when you live in Denmark. So I always follow what I'm interested in, and
So now let's go into the misconceptions. Like I said, you've been lucky to have a few of both. Should I say both worlds, or however I should put it here? But what are some of the misconceptions that people who migrate to Denmark to Europe have about pursuing education? What are some of the misconceptions that they have? I mean, you've heard, because this is a platform for us to learn, for us to maybe somebody is bringing their teenager here, or I mean, somebody who is also trying to redirect their lives. What are some of the misconceptions, and what do you think could be done about it?
Yeah, I think it all comes to, for example, the age group. If you bring in, for example, someone in their teens, they have a bit of more, I would say, they have a chance of continuing their education, I would say. Because, for example, the older you get, the more responsibilities you have. You don't have the time to. For example, I have some older friends who are us in terms of age, and they come here, of course, and they have their families to support. So it is a challenge going back to school to study, and because here in Denmark, the education system is, I'm not sure if it's all education, but some education from Ghana, for example, are not recognized in Denmark. So you will have to, it's kind of a setback that you have to go back to school to learn new or continue your education. Right. So this is something that people should think about if you're moving from Ghana or wherever you are, that to really think, investigate whether the degree is recognized in Denmark or not, because you can be in a situation where you have to go back to the university or to continue education in order to be at the same level as applicants, applying for same position.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's go into mentorship.
Yeah.
Because it's not something that we talk about often. Did you have what role did mentorship play in your own journey as a young boy and as a man now? How did you navigate? Did you have mentors, or are you being a mentor?
Yeah. I think I've always found someone at certain stages of my life, someone that I could look up to. And in my high school, one of my teachers really, Andrew Miller, he's a really nice guy. He's just,
you need to look for him and show him this video.
I mean, there are people who really wants the best for you, and you kind of have to find those kind of people. You have to find them yourself. You have to put yourself out there to find these people who really want the best for you. And I've always been out there trying, just finding people who can help me. And I think people are very nice, and they always want to help you. So I've been a mentor, and I've also been a mentee multiple times, as I said, at different stages of my life. I've always pursued, I've always been reached out to people to just to ask for help and for support. So I think mentorship is very vital when you want to navigate your professional career or personal development. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm asking this because within the migrant space, like I said, maybe I may have a very myopic myopic view of it, but most of the time you might not even find people at vantage points who would be able to hold your hand and say, "No, Eugene, this thing, I think you need to do it in this way. You need to do it that way." That is why I keep asking about it wherever I go. I mean, when I was in Germany, I asked the same question: Is that them people who kind of hold your hands, or are there in your experience coming here at the age of 16, were there like structures, let's say within the Ghanaian community or within the international community, that had this kind of mandate to mentor young people? Did you find that?
No, I didn't find that. That is the blunt answer. But no, there aren't any structures that sort of help or mentor young people like me. I would say you have to just go out there and look for them, and you just have to put yourself out there. I never really had these structures out there that could help me navigate, for example, different cultures or whatever it is that I was striving for. It was mainly you being out there, reaching out to people. I think you just need to reach out, and they can either tell you they don't have time or they can help you out. And it's always people, you find people in a different settings. So for example, at school, you just need to find the right people, or at work, you need to find the right people that can support you. But you always need to be just straightforward with them and then tell them that you need the support and they can always help.
Yeah, so you have to find them yourself. And I think it's important for whoever is people who work within these migrant structures, or I'm being careful with my with my words, but those who are at the policy level to be able to identify these things, because for instance, you now having gone through it, I think you can be a fantastic mentor to anybody who has a teenager.
I'm happy to help.
Make yourself available.
To be honest, I've been a mentor to multiple students, master students through different organizations. So I'm very happy to help or mentor anyone. So
that's good.
But I know there aren't these structures. There might be these structures, but I didn't find them while growing up. I just have to find the people within different settings,
I think that's why it's important to have these conversations. So maybe somebody's in their corner and is thinking, what can I do to contribute? You can be a mentor to somebody. Look for a young person somewhere.
I think, you can find mentors at church or your local community, people that you trust,
Trust is important.
And always, reach out to them.
And be open, because mentorship comes with this. For me, I think it's about giving and receiving. So if I'm giving and you're not receiving,
absolutely, you have to be. How should I put it? You have to be. You really need to put yourself out there. Be a step ahead. When it comes to the mentorship, you need to put in the work. But the local community, the churches, you always like I say, you can always have multiple mentors. So I've always had different mentors within different areas of my life. So, so for example, a mentor at my local church, a mentor at my work, and different areas just to help me, just to get different perspectives on different ideas.
Have you felt in your journey, so right from you coming here and going through the system and masters, going to Scotland, coming back, have you felt that you have had to choose between being Danish, Ghanaian, or something else, or just being a scientist? Have you felt that need?
I think this is always impressed on me when for example, when I study abroad. So I studied in Scotland, and I did also study in France for part of my master's. But it's always, for example, when I see myself in, let's say, France, and I'm among international students or French students, it's, am I Dane or am I Ghanaian or, which country do I represent in those settings? And that is always where I find the dilemma, because even in France, you'll be among your Danish colleagues, even though we've all moved from Denmark to France. We're also in a different environment, right? So am I part of the Danish environment or am I part of the Ghanaian? That is always where I find
And
differences.
What makes you feel that way?
I think I'm usually because I growing up here, I've been part of both being in the Ghanaian and the Danish environment. So I'm not necessarily I'm not really exposed to a lot of the Danish culture. I would say I am exposed to the culture, but not as, you say as a Dane would be exposed to. So I have a mixed culture. So usually I always tap into these two different cultures in settings where, for example, there are only Danes. So in France with a lot of Danes, and I'm both Ghanaian and Danish. So it's always a mixed culture trying to really navigate between these different cultures.
And has that influenced how you are now raising your kids?
Yeah.
If I'm allowed to go there.
Yeah. I think, it does. Because, so my oldest daughter, she's 7. And, she's trying to navigate these different cultures. I mean, I always emphasize on the importance of, being in a multicultural environment. And she also realizes that she's in an environment that is not quite Danish or quite Ghanaian or English, but we always try to mix the different cultures. And I think at some point, I hope that she will appreciate being raised with that different cultures. But I think this is how I've been part of it, and this is who I am, and I always also try to sort of pass this on to my daughter.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, what should I say, the story that you have, your own trajectory? Are there particular points, particular things that you learned along the way, that specific things that you really, really wish that she also gets to know it and, for instance, walk with it, especially being raised in different cultures? Were there specific moments in your life that were very profound for you? It can be good, it can be negative, but that you really want to make sure that maybe she doesn't go through those experiences, or you think that, this was really good for me, and somebody talked about the fact that she went to the private school, the Danish private school, so she really wants her children to go through that angle. I mean, so in your case, were there moments, it can be positive, it can be negative, that you kind of want your children to know and work with? Sorry for putting you on the spot.
No. I think it's interesting. It also helps me to think about how I'm gonna, of course, raise them. But I wasn't raised to, force some things on my, I wasn't forced to do anything that I really didn't want to.
And that's good. So, I mean, because you had Ghanaian parents, I'm very surprised they didn't force you.
My parents, they always gave us the freedom to choose. And that is also what I want my children to also take advantage of, And I don't think I have anything that I really want them to go through. All that I try to teach them is to be compassionate and always understand that they are very lucky to be here. And we always talk about what is going on, the war that is going on and all these kind of things that is going on across the globe. And for her to always appreciate that they're very lucky to be living in a peaceful environment.
Very peaceful.
And so it's more being appreciative and, being thankful for where they are. And that maybe people may not be in the position to be, for example, to be in the same environment.
Yeah, I mean, you've just talked about being grateful, but let me just push the buttons a little bit. Are there maybe some quiet fears that that's, I mean, raising children who look different in this environment? Are there some, I mean, I am a mother and I have those fears. Do you have some unsaid, quiet fears? Yeah, you can decide not to answer if it's.
I'm a very optimistic person. So it's very hard to find fears or think about fears, but I know that you can always, you can't always predict the future. And there will always be things that will get thrown at you and you just have to live with it. And I always just try to instill optimism, in my kids, and pretty much just to live, in the moment. Yeah.
And so, I mean, we'll ask the final two questions. So I've already asked about mentorship, but I want to come back to that again. Are you actively trying to, maybe you can, that if there are institutions something that you can think of, but how are you as a PhD student very soon going to be a doctor, and as a Ghanaian, as a Dane, because you're Danish. Yeah. So as a Dane, as a husband, as a father, are there things that you are deliberately doing or you intend to do probably in the future that you see as your way of contributing to the society, not necessarily the Ghanaian community, but to the migrant community, to the Danish community? Is that something that you have thought of, or something that you think in the near future could be very helpful?
Yeah. So I've been part of these societies, always giving back to the community. When I was doing my master's, I was part of the student organization, helping bridge, for example, the academic world with the industry community. So it's always been, I'm always up for, the next challenge, trying to give back to the society. And currently I'm also working on a startup that we are also trying to, give back, this into the community, try to empower the Danish market, basically. So it's always giving back because I've been very fortunate to have this opportunity to just get this free education. I mean, it's free, but not free. Like they always want to give back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm always open to, helping others as well and mentoring others. As I said, I've been mentors and I'm always, just free to reach out to me. I'm always,
Yeah. And then my final question will be that, should you meet your young self right now? It's a question I like to ask every person that comes on the show. If you could say something to your young self, what would it be?
That is, I think, my young self.
I mean, you're still young, but your younger self.
I am still young, I would say. And thanks for the compliment. What I would say is always, I would tell my younger self to keep going. There's one quote that always sticks with me. This was the quote, Louis Pasteur, famous biologist, once said that chance favors the prepared mind. It highlights the importance of preparedness and serendipity. So always in terms of achieving success. So it's always be prepared and think about, the next step, because you always, when you plan things, some things might go wrong, but it could also go the right way. So always, keep going and then just be prepared. You never know what is going to come by. You just keep going. Yeah.
Chance favors the prepared mind.
Yeah.
I think I need to write that somewhere and keep telling myself that. Thank you so much for a very, very insightful discussion. And we wish you the very, very, very best in especially your PhD journey. And we hope to hear your name all over.
Oh, yeah. You will definitely.
Yeah, because I think it's a very good journey that you have taken on. And I'm hoping that somebody would be inspired by your story, and especially those who are looking to bring their kids who are within the teenage years.
Yeah.
Your story would inspire them or would kind of give them an insight into whatever they want to do with their children.
So as well.
So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a very insightful discussion. If this discussion resonated with you, please leave us a comment and tell us what you think about it. If you also have a story that you want to share with us, or you know someone who has a story that needs to be heard, please send us an email and we will gladly share it. This is Migrant Voices, where every journey tells a story. Thank you.
Migrant Voices